Hi, it's Mark, back with another Photoshop tutorial, and today we're going to be looking at how to add your signature to your work in Photoshop. I signed off a previous video by doing that, and someone popped the question, how do you have a brush that looks like your signature? And we'll answer that question today. Now, to be fair, there are already some YouTube tutorials out there that show you how to do this. So I'm not just going to do that. It only takes a couple of minutes anyway, so we will cover that ground. Today we're also going to be using that to create a series of signatures we can use in Lightroom. So you've finished editing in Lightroom, you want to add a signature, you no longer have to jump over into Photoshop to do that. You can do it right there, right then in Lightroom. However, talking about Photoshop, when you do have a brush as a signature, here's an example. If I go B for brush tool and I choose my signature, the great advantage is you can put it any way you like. The great advantage is you can change the color, and of course you can change the size. So without further ado, let's jump over into Lightroom and Photoshop and get this one sorted. Okay, having managed to claw my way up from down there on the screen to up here on the screen, we better get started. We're going to do this in three parts. The first part is just to make the brush, and the second part will be how to export in a particular way that we can then use it for part 3 in Lightroom when we are exporting our pictures from Lightroom and adding our signature. So the first thing you need to do is to get your signature into a document, and there are a number of ways to do this. This is possibly the hardest part to do it. So you can either, if you've got a Wacom tablet or similar, draw your signature on the tablet and have it on screen, or you can go old school and write your signature on a piece of paper and scan it in, perhaps, or face recognition, open my phone, or you can actually then, does that work? Then take a picture of it and import the picture. Daft story, by the way, but my phone opens up when it recognises my face, not when I've got a mask on. So I'm either going to have to redo or have to keep putting my mask down. But there we go, that's my problem. As you can see, we've got our signature, and I added the smiley face to make it different from the signature I did before, so I'm not being Blue Peter here, and here's one I've prepared earlier, okay? This is clearly a new signature with an accurate picture of me just to the right of it. So how do we go about making this a brush? Well, firstly, it is important, it's got to be black and white. So if it isn't already black and white, eagle-eyed might have noticed that that was blue. If it isn't already black and white, make it black and white. You can easily do that by adding a black and white adjustment layer, and then it'll be black and white. Okay, get rid of that though because I don't need it. Mine already is black and white. So make it black and white, okay, because the brush is going to be defined here by the black we've got on screen. Next, I'm just going to make a really crude selection around it, and then I go to Edit and Define Brush Preset. Give it a name. Let's call it Mark plus Smiley. Don't care about the spellings and the capitalization. And look, oh, what's that? That looks like a brush. Just Control D to get rid of the marching ants there. Change the color to black, and let's go and click it there. Let's go back to our image we started with. There we go. Change it back to white, and there you are. So it's as simple as that. And of course, we demonstrated earlier, you can make it bigger. And of course, you can change the color to whatever you want. There we go. So we've done it. Job done. That is how you create a brush. And if we go to our brushes now, you'll see at the bottom, it's added Mark plus Smiley. Incidentally, just because my brush is generally open on general brushes, I added my actual one up there just for convenience. Part 1 done. How simple was that? Okay, so part 2. Save this and export it. It's as simple as that. But we've got to be careful about some of those settings. So let's show you those. So we're in Photoshop. We've still got our brush selected. There it is. With our signature, we create new document. So File, New. Something like 500 by 500. Not really precious about this. But what is important is here where it says background contents. We want it to be transparent. We don't want to export and save this with a white with a black signature on it. We just want the black signature and nothing else. So let's make sure it says transparent and click create. There's a document. We've already got black as our foreground color. There's a brush in the middle of it. I'm just going to click once. There you are. Now that looks a little bit grey and a little bit grainy around the outside. Two reasons. One, it is a small document, and two, because it was an accurate representation of my signature, it wasn't completely dark. Where the pen was slightly lighter, it did go a little bit grey. So that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's an accurate representation of my signature. So with that done, we now want to go and File and Export As. And we want to choose as PNG if it isn't already there. And we definitely want to click transparency. Okay. And we will just click Export. I'll put them in my downloads folder, and I'm going to call this one Mark Sig Black, and save. And off it goes. Now, in Lightroom, you might have a dark photograph and you want a white signature. So let's create a different version of this. Without touching anything else, I'm still on this layer. I'm just going to go Control-I or Command-I on a PC, and it changes that black to white. It's Control-I for inverse. So the inverse of black is white. And let's do the same thing again. So File, Export As. We've got PNG. We've got transparency, and we click Export, and this time I'm going to call it Mark Sig White. Highly imaginative names. Save. And that's it. We're now ready. We've done with Photoshop. Part 3, we're going to be in Lightroom. Okay, Part 3 in Lightroom. This is a picture I took a few weeks back of Newcastle. There's the River Tyne up the middle, Gateshead on the left, Newcastle on the right, and I want to export it, let's say for Facebook or something like that. So I would right click on the picture, choose Export. I'll just move this up a little bit, give us a bit more space, and I won't go through all the various sizes. Safe to say when I do export to Facebook, I generally go 2000 pixels on the long edge and a resolution of 72, and I'm going to choose a watermark. Now, you might not have a watermark yet, or you might have a few watermarks. I've got rather a number of them, but they all have a purpose. I can choose to put my copyright or my web address on the left, on the right, on the top, on the bottom. I've got ones which go garishly across the middle when I'm just sending a draft out for something. Some are transparent, and some are just my signatures. So anyway, a large collection. What we want to do, no matter which one is selected, we want to choose Edit Watermarks. And here comes our watermark editor. Now, we don't want text this time. We want a graphic. So I click on Graphic, and it says, where do you want the graphic from? And we're going to choose Navigate to our Downloads folder. I just happen by some quirk to be in my Downloads folder, and I will click on that to choose our white signature. Click OK. And by default, it's put it down in the bottom left because this thing was clicked in the bottom left or the bottom right. So here, I would just try and work out where I'd actually want the signature. So I want it about that size, and I'm going to use the vertical slider to move it further down, and the horizontal slider to move it to the left. Yours might had different values to start with there. That's not important. What's important is you can use those to position it, and that's what we're actually doing. So I'm going to have that somewhere down there. I like the size of it in relation to the picture, and yeah, I'm just going to save that, and I need to give it a meaningful name. So let's call it Mark Smile bottom left white, and click Create. And there we are. Let's export this now. Let's go and have a look at it. So in my exports folder, which is under Pictures for me, Lightroom Exports, there you are. And there's our signature in the bottom left. Okay. Now it won't always be in the bottom left that we want these things. It could be bottom right. So let's go back again and choose export and choose edit watermarks. We've already got that one in place. So let's just click and move it over to there. Now, I'm not going to position this, I can't position this purely for this picture, in which case I'll move it to the left a little bit out of the way, but this is just a generic one, so I'm just going to accept that, and this time I'm going to call it Mark, Smile, bottom right, white, and create, and then export. I'll overwrite the picture, that's fine. I'm not really interested in that, that wasn't important. And we'll go and have a look at the picture. Exported. There you are, and the signature is indeed in the bottom right. Okay, I rather like that picture. Anyway, I'm sure I don't have to go through and show you how to actually add the black one in the bottom left, bottom right. It's irrelevant what the picture was. It was getting our signature in, there was a transparency that was important. When I go back to export any other future image, from my export dialog box, I've now got Mark Smile bottom left, Mark Smile bottom right. Okay, and if you're interested to know what unsightly full www bottomish white looks like, because I've forgotten, let's go and have a quick look at that. Override. We're finished, by the way. I'm just curious. Well, there you are. That is my website address. It is unsightly. It is on the bottom. It is white. So it did exactly what it says on the tin. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'm going to find the off button. Have a play. If you like these, down there somewhere there's a subscribe button. Click on that. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you get on. And if there's any particular questions, I'll get around to answering them as soon as I can. And with that, I'll say bye-bye. So